Hey, listen up for some sweet pizza discounts. The River's Edge is partnering with Frank's Pizza and Chicken to offer you 10% off your ZA. That's short for pizza.
Seriously? Za?
What?
Anyway, mention you heard this ad and Frank's will give you 10% off your order of $15 or more.
Oh my god, have you tried their famous buffalo chicken pizza?
Oh, don't even get me started. Can you name all 4 Frank's locations?
Millville, obviously. Troy Hill, Shaler, and North Hills.
Gold star. Anyway, support the River's Edge Radio Network by ordering from Frank's Pizza and Chicken the next time you get hungry for some za. And don't forget to mention you heard this ad so you get your 10% off. Go to frankspizzachicken.com for more info.
Offer good for a limited time. Order must be $15 or more before taxes. Cannot be combined with other discounts or offers. Other legal jargon and whatnot.
So yesterday I was a victim of a terrible fate. It was pretty tragic. I was enjoying the Three Rivers Arts Festival. It was there we go. It was the Sunday after the initial beginning of or I guess the third day into the festival, and I was there, and of course it was raining. It's the Three Rivers Arts Festival. We were there on Saturday, Michael and I, and it was pretty nice. The weather was good, and there were two forces kind of working against one another. First off, I was there, so that's, a force for good. Then we had the big umbrella display, which I took a picture of, and I said that they always say when you have an umbrella and you prepare for rain, it never rains, whereas they had a giant umbrella display available. But they were counteracting the forces of evil, which state that every time the arts festival exists, it must rain. And so Sunday that came to pass. It rained all day. It wasn't raining like it was raining this morning, but it was raining like it's raining now, where it was kind of misting the entire day. And I rolled the dice, and I lost. I succumbed. I was forced to deal with one of the most horrible ailments that mankind has ever been faced with. That is
a tan.
Well, I did get that, which is nice. No, wet socks. Wet socks are horrible. The way that they cling to your feet and they suffocate your feet to almost a diabetes-like state. You're almost thinking that your feet are going to fall off. It's like walking through a bog of cotton, which is just really, really awful. And I had to deal with this the entire day.
Like a foot waterboarding.
Kind of, yeah. It's like
Torture.
waterboarding for your feet. Exactly. It is very, very treacherous, and really, it creates a mental strain on yourself as an individual, because
Vicious interrogation technique.
yeah, if I was to interrogate somebody here at the River's Edge studio, I would put I would put nice, comfortable socks on them.
And then pour water over it so their feet felt like
them.
they were drowning.
Yeah. So I posted something on Facebook about it, and by the way, you are listening to the River's Edge Radio Network. I am Brian Crawford. I am here. Deal with it.
And I am Michael Cohen, Brian's bike riding nemesis.
Yeah. So I posted it on Facebook. I announced that I had wet socks, and the outcry of support was really touching. So now Zach says that at least I had socks, and that's kind of a douchey thing to say. Apparently Zach has never had wet socks, because no socks are better than wet socks any day of the week.
That seems like a thing you could have fixed.
Not when you're out there, not when you're on the front lines. So I used to prepare and have extra socks on hand in case I ever had to deal with wet socks, but it's been years since I've had wet sock issues, and I was stuck with them on Sunday. Heather says the horror. Yes, it is horrible. Jerry sends his thoughts and prayers, which really touched me, and I really had appreciated that. Kyle says that cotton kills, and Kyle makes a good point. I usually wear wool socks because wool socks will dry quicker, and whenever your feet sweat, wool will allow the sweat to leave your feet. And that's why, actually, in the wintertime, the reason why they suggest that you wear wool socks versus cotton is not because wool is a heavier material, it will keep you warmer, but the real reason why they suggest that is because the sweat can leave your socks instead of trapping your socks on your sweat into your socks and on your feet, which is actually what makes your feet cold. It's not the lack of insulation from a cotton sock, but rather cotton is a death trap, keeping the sweat in. Just like when you get wet socks, they're trapped inside of that shoe and nothing can get out.
But my low-cut cottons look so fresh with my shoes.
I'm
What am I
telling
to
you,
do?
Switch to wool. It is the way of the future. Wool is the sock of 2017.
I need low-cut wool socks. Won't someone help? I can never find them.
Well, there you go. Now you can be an innovator, and you can design it yourself.
Or we can find a low-cut wool sock company to sponsor us, and I will plug them every day.
That would be a good thing. You could sponsor us, and you can email me at briancrawford@riversedgepgh.com. We will accept money. That is something that we are willing to do.
And socks. By sponsor, I just mean give me free socks, and I'll tell people about them.
No. Send money. Cash. Lots and lots of cash. Have you ever had to deal with a wet sock situation where you had wet socks for an entire day?
Oh yeah, I play outside. Remember, I'm like a not hippie because I don't care about like pacifism or anything, but you know, woodsy person. What's the word for that?
But don't you carry like extra socks? That's the thing. When I used to go camping a lot, and for a 3-day weekend, I would pack like 10 pairs of socks.
Oh yeah, sure, but sometimes you're on like a day hike and you're like 5 or 6 miles out and you get caught in like a
Don't you
downpour.
carry like extra socks with you when you go on a day hike?
If you change your socks in the middle of a rainstorm, you're just making more wet socks.
But sometimes, the rain stops, and then you have an extra pair of socks handy
Yeah.
to put on, and eventually they will begin to get wet as well because your shoes now are drenched, but at least for a moment, you can experience dry, awesome socks. I once got into a downpour at Station Square, and I was walking because it was some sort of zhuzh that happened, and I had to walk part of the way, and it was a downpour hit. I had wet socks. I had to buy like these expensive like, I don't know, tourist socks, like Pittsburgh socks, in order to get through the day because I couldn't deal with the wet socks. But
Hard knock life, Brian.
yeah, that's rough. That's a rough life when you get. There are very few things worse in the world than wet socks. I can't think of anything more unpleasant that I've experienced.
You've probably got like foot PTSD.
Yeah, it really you do kind of have.
Whenever it starts to rain, your feet start having weird flashbacks to.
Well, I do think
the flood.
that is like the first thing that I consider when it does start raining is my feet, because I'm very conscious about where I'll step, because if a pedal strikes, if a puddle strikes my shoe, and then I get wet sock, the entire day is ruined.
Dude, game changer. Service sector shoes. They got ones that look just like basically like black leather Chucks. They're like 25
But will they
bucks.
allow air to get to your foot? Because if they do not allow air to get to your foot, then your foot will sweat, and then you will get wet socks.
Damn, princess. Add another mattress.
I'm just saying. Well, plus, then you'll get severe athlete's foot as well, and we're gonna get to that a little
I
bit
don't
later.
play enough sports. I'm not getting athletes anything.
Oh, you can get it. Trust me.
I
But-
went to I was supposed to go to a comedian's softball game yesterday, and I don't know if you've ever seen the comic scene in Pittsburgh, but it is not an athletic one, and I still strongly considered whether or not I would be embarrassed by being the worst person there.
I
Sorry,
can
go
understand.
on.
No, but we are going to get into athlete's foot a little bit later as well.
Ew.
Today, I want to thank Mike Y for bringing us out for the One Human Band International Music Festival. We streamed that live at the Three Rivers Arts Festival. A little bit later in today's program, we have 3 weird stories, including a solution for those who think Trump should kiss their ass, and why Wisconsin may just be the next touristy spot in the United States of America. But right now, we're going to transition into an interesting topic that I've been wanting to talk about, and that is naming rights on state buildings. So our local state representative, or not state representative, I'm sorry, our local state senator, and there's another state senator, they want to push for a bill that will grant the state the ability to sell naming rights for state buildings. So you're listening over the internet at riversedgepgh.com, Pittsburgh's local music radio station, and you're wondering, what does that mean, Brian? Well, that means that you could have, let's just say, the Blackwater Supreme Court Chambers in Pennsylvania, or you could have the Halliburton Department of Environmental Protection building.
That sounds like our sports stadiums already.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same kind of idea. Or you could have the, I don't know, the Wells Fargo, Pennsylvania Department of Revenue.
Can we crowdsource this?
Well, I'm just thinking of appropriate names.
And we all get to name it?
Well, I'm thinking of businesses that fit, like Halliburton in environmental protection, Wells Fargo, and
yeah, I saw what you're doing.
Something having to do with being honest.
Honest financial practices.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? What are some other state buildings that we could name? Let's see, I don't know, what can we name the governor's mansion?
Can we name the jail after Alexander Berkman?
There we go.
Allegheny County. He was held in Homestead. Do they still even have a jail in Homestead?
I doubt it.
Okay, well, we'll name, instead of Allegheny General, we'll name it after Alexander Berkman.
Yeah, this idea, the reason why they want to do this is basically they've allowed every building in the state to get into terrible disrepair. And now they're at a point where they are renting all of this space, in addition to the buildings that they are already maintaining, which is obviously a burden on the taxpayer. And they do not have the money to fix the buildings. So their idea is if they sell the naming rights to these buildings and allow private entities, or I guess if you're really, really rich, you could just buy the naming right yourself or crowdsource it or however you want to do it. So basically what they want to do is sell those rights so then they will have now the resources to fix these buildings. It is my guess that, and both of these senators are Republicans who wish to push this bill through, so they're looking at coming up with creative ways to pay for these buildings, which typically I like creative ways to, raising revenue to get things done, and I don't know, we'll get into my thoughts on naming rights, but it's my guess, if I'm just going to take a guess, that it was some Republican somewhere who said that instead of raising taxes or allocating the proper funds to fix these buildings, there's cheap rent somewhere out there in Pennsylvania that we could take advantage of and save a buck. And they kicked the can down the road, and now we're in a situation where the rent has risen, and now we can no longer afford the rent.
Well, that's those people always do. They gut every program and then complain that the program doesn't work,
Yeah, that's just my guess. I don't know. Just taking a shot in the dark.
They're trying to take away my Medicaid right now.
Yes. So, the naming rights situation. The gentlemen in question have confessed that there could be conflict of interest issues. My question is, do you really want the Wells Fargo Department of Revenue? Do you want the Halliburton Department of Environmental Protection? Do you want the Blackwater, the Blackwater? What did I say? The Blackwater Criminal, Blackwater Supreme Court.
Which I believe they go by Z now.
Oh, they've changed their name?
Yeah.
They've rebranded.
They rebranded to Z, and then maybe something else, something logistics or something like that. I forget. They keep changing their name.
Yes.
Here's what I'd almost be more concerned about is less like cartoonishly evil corporations coming out and being open about running our society, and more about these like faux benevolent corporations using it as an opportunity to garner goodwill. Uber. I'm thinking of Uber. I'm thinking of Google. Right, these ones that try to pass themselves off as like social justice minded, socially responsible corporations when they're anything but. And I feel like they would jump on an opportunity to have half of Pittsburgh named after them.
What would UPMC sponsor? What building would UPMC sponsor?
The graveyard.
The graveyard, yes, the county graveyard.
Yeah, or nothing. They've already got their name on the top of the tallest building in
Yeah, but that
Pittsburgh.
doesn't matter to them. They want their name on everything.
It's true, you're right.
They're the
So,
Trump of East Coast hospitals.
they're kind of
It's
frightening, UPMC. But then again, and the thing is, I feel like UPMC would have an advantage because they've got all of that extra money.
$1 billion, billions of dollars.
Well, they also don't, they don't have any employees, so they don't have to pay any staff. So that always is a benefit.
And they don't pay any taxes, right?
They don't pay any taxes. No, they don't have.
What
any
is their
any
overhead?
employees.
I don't get it.
So-
What do you do here?
Have you ever been in their corporate headquarters?
No, I've
It's pretty fantastic.
never been in one of their hospitals.
I will
Really?
say.
I mean, I've only lived here for 2 years. They are. I'm on UPMC though through the Medicaid. So eventually, I may have the joy of experiencing one of what must be a fantastic hospital.
Take your pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot go to any UPMC hospitals because I have a high mark insurance. So
Ah.
unless they sponsor the program, then I'll make a switch. So it's very easy to win me over.
Now, what I'd love to see people do is not just crowdsource for names, but crowdsource for like really problematic names, right? Like that's or if we're not, there's also really problematic rich people that I feel like could totally sideline.
I should be in charge of this project.
Advertise.
We should be in charge of this
Like,
project.
can we get like Kim.com or someone else who's like, or like,
I've always wanted to like manage a town and rename things like, I don't know, like we've got like the Boulevard of the Allies. What if we had like the Boulevard of the Axis or
Yeah.
Bad Street, Wrong Street? Just like
Can we get some like weird Chinese oligarch who's made his fortune off of like bootlegging American DVDs or something like that to pay for naming our libraries or something? You know what I mean? Like just something that people would be so upset by that they would change the law relatively quickly.
You know what though? If you did that though, it may be more benevolent than the Carnegie name attached.
Oh,
to some
certainly.
Of
I
these
mean,
libraries.
What's
so-
not what's malevolent about that?
I
oh,
said benevolent.
No, I know, but
I mean Carnegie.
are they
Carnegie was
more benevolent?
Yeah, Carnegie he
I mean,
He's a nice boy.
I mean, to be fair, a Chinese oligarch who makes his money off of bootlegging American stuff and violating intellectual property rights is certainly
Americans do that too.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and that's not a good thing.
Certainly
We're saying that
has less blood on his hands than Carnegie. No,
Yes.
I'm all for. Don't get me
I
wrong.
understood
am-
what you were saying. And I was
uh,
saying, why are you guys saying that? He
Oh,
is
Carnegie.
less
Carnegie
benevolent?
because
Oh, I mean,
Carnegie's
c-
look at his record.
Oh,
I mean,
the-
look
what
at
about
look at the Homestead strike where they brought
Yeah,
in
I
a
was gonna-
private military to shoot down their own workers
yeah, I mean,
because they didn't
Pinkerton-
want to pay them a fair wage.
Wasn't that Frick?
Pinkerton thugs are basically local.
You know who
Blackwater.
Frick worked for, right? And
Yeah.
you know why Carnegie lives in Scotland because Carnegie.
He was born there, yo.
He,
No, because he allowed. No, he
I
was not
blame
born there.
Frick and Carnegie for the Homestead strike. Brian puts that strictly on Carnegie.
Not
we've
strictly
had
on
this,
Carnegie.
We've
no.
had this historical
I
debate
think that
before.
Carnegie has more of a hand in it because Carnegie.
Yeah, no, I mean-
Carnegie was a bitch. Basically, he brought Frick in to do the job that he was too big of a pussy to do, so he can go.
God.
So he can go live in his castle in Scotland where he had serfs because he bought the land, and the way the law was written at the time is everyone who lived on your property had to pay taxes to you. So he created his own little kingdom in Scotland
He was born in
and
Scotland.
squeezed.
Also, just put that
Okay,
in.
and
Sure.
squeezed the people of Scotland.
Yeah, he-
for every
he-
cent that they had, the poor people, while he lived like a king.
He
And then
definitely-
in his old age, he felt like a scumbag because he screwed all these people over, so he spent all this money on libraries.
He definitely dipped when it was time for the shit to hit the fan on the
Yeah.
Homestead strike. That's not to say that Frick did not deserve to get shot in the neck for that. Alexander Berkman, what's up?
I definitely would put more of the onus on Carnegie, though.
I mean, they could have both used shot in the neck, but like,
Frick is at least Frick is a badass. He gets shot, and he refuses to go to the hospital so he can finish the paperwork for the day.
and then refuses anesthetic so he can help them take the bullet out of his own neck. That's
Yeah.
fucking gangster.
So he is pretty much a badass. So at least he has that
A very
going for him.
bad badass, but
Whereas,
nonetheless.
whereas
Super
Carnegie,
villain, really.
whereas Carnegie is a bitch. Now, I'm glad that Carnegie spent all the money he did, and we have a lot of nice things here in Pittsburgh. But let's not pretend like Carnegie had the cojones to deal with his own company. That's the whole reason why he bought Frick's company was to bring Frick in because he didn't
Yeah.
have the guts to do it himself. What Carnegie did is he just swindled everyone his whole life, and that's where he got all of his money.
Just to be
So-
clear, I absolutely endorse violation of intellectual property rights by Chinese oligarchs and any American who wants to. Pirate Party all the way. Go
He
on.
speaks for
Fire
himself.
party.
Absolutely
Pay me,
for
bitch.
myself.
So you could still his comedy routine basically, but pay me what I'm owed, yo. So we got weird shit right now, weird news, right here on the river's edge. That's the wrong music.
That's why I looked at you like that.
I am Pittsburgh's #1 weapon, fighting to save this city from destruction each and every week from the Mon monster, which terrorizes the entire city of Pittsburgh because it hates joy, it hates love, it hates happiness, but it enjoys weird news. So, one man was angry at the local city council and the mayor and everybody else in Augusta, and the person decided to bring in bed bugs. A cup of bed bugs, slammed it on the counter, and infested the entire building.
That is so fucking gangster.
It's awful. Do you know much about bed bugs?
Oh, yeah.
Once you get bed bugs, game over. There is no winning. They conquer. It costs often thousands and thousands of dollars to remove them from your home, and even then, they could still be lurking somewhere and come back.
Oh my god, I love this.
I used to work as a repo man, and that was always the fear that we would get bed bugs somehow because we would sell, we would rent mattresses and things like that as well. So that stuff would come back, couches and things like that, and you had to spray them with a special sauce that was
Special sauce.
that was government mandated, and that was supposed to kill all of the bed bugs. And this guy from the government would come every once in a blue moon with a wand, and there were these microbes in the secret sauce that this wand would pick up, and that's how he knew that you sprayed it with the secret sauce. But I don't necessarily believe that the secret sauce would work. I mean, how do you know that it's going to reach every single inch of that sofa or that bed or mattress or whatever you're bringing in?
Yeah.
And
Also,
I
what-
also
Can you just seal it up so that no oxygen gets in and they all
they can live for years
without
without
breathing?
Oh yeah, they're
They're
insane.
nuts.
These
They basically
things-
just go into permanent hibernation.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
To you could shoot those things through space to another planet, and they would just wait for that planet's atmosphere to finally reach whatever oxygen concentration it needed in 1 million years, and they would just pop out and populate.
Yeah.
We should be sending them to Mars, really.
Oh,
is
real
what I'm
quick, I forgot to
saying.
mention this in the intro because we were kind of just running right into it. There's a chance that 3 Mile Island may close. They're saying it's because they need subsidized because of natural gas and everything, which is kicking their ass, and they need help. We do have somebody who's going to be calling in here in a few minutes who
Nice.
is an engineer, who is a nuclear engineer who works at 3 Mile Island. So he's going to be calling in. Yeah, he said he has real information as to why this place is closing, and he's going to share that with us. So I just wanted to bring that up. That's going to be here in a few minutes. So that's story one. Yeah, bed bugs. I did some research on them. They can run at the speed of light. So as long as they're on a smooth, flat surface. So one time there was this girl who I worked with at one of my jobs, and we had suspected that maybe she had bed bugs because of a situation she was describing. So we all avoided her like the plague, but we were scared to death because it was all flat surfaces, and these things can run. And once they all it takes is one that can get onto your body anywhere, and then it will come to your house, and then you will never be rid of
But it
bed
needs more
bugs.
than one to multiply.
Well, okay,
You
so
need,
two.
you need a pair.
Okay, so
you
a
need
pair,
to be your
yes.
little Noah's Ark.
But if it's already pregos.
Yeah,
And then you're
done.
fucked.
Yeah. So that's story one. Story two. There's a reason why Wisconsin may become The next. Do you have my thing on? You don't have me activated, do you?
Your
My phone. There
phone.
we go.
Now you're on, yeah.
There we go. Okay. Wisconsin will become the travel center for America. This is going to be a touristy area because there is a sign in Wisconsin that is going to bring people in. People are excited about it.
What is the sign?
So, there is a town called Sussex.
Right?
And in the middle of painting this wonderful sign, they say they went on break. I think it was a tourist attraction. I think they were trying to bring in business. Now there's a giant sign above this town that says sex. So they're greeting everyone with sex.
Like, have you ever been to Intercourse, PA?
No.
I haven't,
They
no,
use
but
a
I've heard
similar
about it.
kind of marketing.
Do they? Nice.
strategy.
So Sussex, Wisconsin, that's the place to go. So because if you want to have a good time. And the third story, if you want Trump to kiss your ass, there's a toilet paper for you. There is a gentleman, a Mexican in Mexico, believe it or not, and he is branding his own Trump toilet paper, where it actually has a picture of Trump's face on the roll, so you can literally wipe your ass with Trump's face.
Someone produced a smaller run of something like that when we had Bush as the president too. It's a classic.
Yeah, but this one's really great. I
No,
would
that
suggest,
the graphic design on that is way better. Ew.
I would suggest, like we're looking at it now, I would
Wow.
suggest going to the Huffington Post and take a look at this toilet paper, which is fantastic. And what's great is the toilet paper, it's 100% made in Mexico. And he is using this toilet paper to actually fund, to help aid
Tunnels?
migrants
Oh, okay.
and people who are being deported from the United States. So he's using the profits from this toilet paper to help those people get by.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
The only problem with all the like anti-Trump merchandise is I literally don't want to look at that guy all the time. That's the problem. Is like when you adorn your house with anti-Trump stuff, you have to look at his face all like I don't want to look at any politician's face that often, but especially not his smug.
Well, the thing is about this too, another issue that I have with it is what if Trump decides to sue this company, which he loves suing, and now all of a sudden he's collecting a cut of the Trump branded
I think
toilet
it's
paper
well
because
that
it has his likeness
that's
on
the beauty of it being a Mexican company is I feel like he's gonna have trouble leveraging that one.
it. Yeah. So
Like, yeah. But no, that's fantastic. I would love it if they'd put out a toilet paper where I can funnel money to illegal immigrants without having to look at Trump's face all the time, though.
yeah. I love the packaging, like the main picture. If you look at it, it's like it literally is a toilet paper roll with the Trump hairdo
Yeah, no, it's
and
great.
the Trump
It's
eyebrows, and it
hilarious.
has him like with the thumbs up because that's like his big thing. You know, he's
Yeah.
always going around with the thumbs up, which I don't even know why. That's such a weird thing to do. It almost reminds me of you know the Nixon with his you know his thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This 100% made in Mexico. There it is. Any minute now, we will be receiving a call from an engineer inside. He who works for 3 Mile Island. He's calling in undercover. We're gonna call him Glowthroat, and he says he has insider information as to what is going on at 3 Mile Island, as far as why he says that it has nothing to do with natural gas. The reason why the power plant is closing.
Fair.
And he says there's a darker secret.
I love a
and
good dark secret.
Yeah, and so he's supposed to be calling in any minute here
Well-
on the River's Edge hotline. See, that's the nice thing about talk radio. So, like, unlike the state, which it's kind of weird if they're selling naming rights, and I think it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I mean, I like that they're trying to be creative, but I just, I don't know. What if it's like the Edgar Snyder Supreme Court building? I mean, like, what if Edgar Snyder goes in to, like, fight a case? Doesn't that
Yeah, no, definitely.
seem like it's kind of weird? Like, Edgar Snyder, defending Michael Cohen for running traffic lights on his bicycle. It's made it all the way to the Supreme Court because Michael thinks that cyclists should just be able to do whatever the hell they want, and then all of a sudden you have Edgar Snyder defending you in the Edgar Snyder Supreme Court building.
Yeah, more likely being prosecuted by it. That's how that usually works. But I'm not usually getting defended by someone whose name is on stuff. Usually, and
yeah.
usually anyone reputable is prosecuting me.
Well, you've made it
but-
to the big time, so
Yeah.
you've become a reality. You've become a star, a radio star on the River's Edge Radio Network, and now we've taken off. You've got all of this clout, and you didn't even have to pay Edgar Snyder. He wanted to take the case because he knew if he could win the rewards from the publicity of working with someone on the River's Edge Radio Network, he knows that the amount of business that he will get from that.
And under the table money from Big Bike.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. So the big bike lobby would be
Big Bike
would be
lobby.
funneling them. There is a big bike lobby here in Pittsburgh. That's not an untrue thing.
It is untrue, but it's okay.
It's not untrue.
Oh, is Schwinn propping up the bike lanes? Is
No, you've got Bike Pittsburgh, and they've got their tentacles throughout the mayor's
oh
office,
my god, it's like a 6-person NGO.
and they've got their tentacles. Those 6 people. Let me tell you, pretty influential.
They talk to people about riding safely with their children, and
Yeah, no, it's
then they
terrible.
also
All
close
kinds of
down. They
disruptive
also close
things.
down major roads and create a traffic nightmare.
Yeah.
are you talking about open streets? What are you talking
Yes,
about?
which
That's
is
such a great
It's
thing.
an
Yeah, it's
awful
fantastic.
thing. It's an awful thing. I was once a victim of open streets. I tried to drive and go to an acoustic brunch, and every single side street was closed. You couldn't even park your car anywhere. And how in the hell are people supposed to take their bike there if they can't even drive there?
I only sympathize with that because I had a similar thing when they had the marathon, and the marathon basically cut Pittsburgh in half, and I wound up walking 2 miles to work and being severely late. But other than that, wow.
I'm opposed to it. I think open streets is an assault on drivers, the backbone of Pittsburgh.
The thing to do when you run into something, have you tried eating a bag of dicks?
No,
Because sometimes when you're freaking out in your car because a bunch of people are having fun,
because a bunch of people were soiling our streets with their
Oh,
They're-
Brian. We should all go to the next one together and have
be
a good
so fun.
time. We can walk there. And,
No, see,
like,
I'm not opposed to
lighten
the
it up.
concept
Yeah.
if it was like on Smallman Street.
Or like if they like
Right.
warned you
Or,
days in advance and gave you routes around. That would
Yeah,
be.
months
Oh
in
wait, they
advance.
do.
Oh, they
Right.
didn't in Lawrenceville. They didn't on Butler Street. Oh no, it was just chaos.
you
There
don't
was
have to-
nowhere to go.
Butler Street isn't the only avenue to anywhere.
But if you're trying to get around, if you're coming from Millville, there's no other way.
Just take 28,
376,
bruh.
man.
I was
28,
trying to go to
376.
Lawrenceville. I didn't know that it was this. Oh wait, we got our call right now.
Oh, okay.
We got our call. We got a top engineer. We've Glowthroat on the River's Edge Radio Network. Hello, sir.
Hi. This is Brian.
This is Brian. Yes.
Hey, great. Nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah. Thank you for
first
calling
time.
in. Yeah, first time caller. I heard. Yeah, we kind of got a tip that you were calling in. I know you wanted to go anonymously, so I've dubbed you Glowthroat. Is that okay with you, sir?
No, and I mean, if you want, like, I thought we could make up like a cool nuclear power name, like
Glowthroat.
Rod Utanium or something. I don't know. We'll work on it, but
Yep, glow throat it is.
But yeah, no, wanted to just call in because I feel like a lot of people have been speculating and just kind of talking out their ass. So I figured, as somebody who was pretty high up in the organization, I could be here to like set you straight.
Yeah, please, sir. Tell us what really is going on, because right now what they're saying from 3 Mile Island is they're saying that it's the natural gas industry that's kind of putting them out of business. They can't compete, and they need government subsidies because they're providing nuclear power. You said there's that the information I got from you says that there's a different motive.
No, I mean that's all cute little rationale on that part, but that's the thing. That's the speak you're gonna get out of CEOs, and that's why you want to talk to someone
On
high
the
up,
inside, yeah.
you know, like myself.
So what's really going on?
I have been an assistant janitor there for.
I thought you
I
said
don't
you were a
know, I'd
nuclear
say-
engineer. The information I got, it said you're a nuclear engineer with the power plant.
I got to be real honest. I may have stretched that. I'm still looking around for a job, so, but still, like, I knew a lot of stuff, like what most of it did. So I feel pretty credible to talk about this.
I mean, you've already lied to get onto the program, so I'm not exactly sure how much I trust your word at this point.
I trust
Well,
you. Give us the big conspiracy.
Well, you know, I mean, you've been in it long enough to know showbiz. You got to give it a little pizzazz.
And we try to
Like,
be.
I was thinking, actually, instead of nuclear engineer, like if I want to start calling in for more interviews, I could just be like nuclear, like Spider-Man or something. I don't know. I'm still working on it. So don't
Physicist
take
is a
All right,
good
so
word
are you
too.
an actual janitor at 3 Mile Island, or is that just rubbish as
Yeah.
well? Okay, you are.
No.
So let's
Trust
stay on
me,
point.
like,
You say
yeah,
that you
so, and I
know
gotta
the
say,
real
that's
reason.
where-
You know the real
that's
reason
where
why the
you
plant.
find out the dirt.
Okay, yes. So tell me the dirt. You said that there's a reason why that this plant may close, and it has nothing to do with natural gas. What? Why is 3 Mile Island closing? Because to be quite honest, I'm a little distressed. I'm somebody who I think nuclear power is an important part of the equation.
Monty Burns is trying to block out the sun, isn't he?
No, I mean it's not conspiratorial like that. It's just, you know, some of it can even be a good thing. Like, I feel like you're focusing a lot on the negative, but like, remember those ducks that were like inflatable and they were floating all over the world and people loved them?
Yeah,
Like
the
the
duck
thing-
that came to Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a real duck
Okay.
that lived outside of our spillway.
So
like, yeah, technically, there was a.
well, that's just not true. I mean, there was a news report that said that there was an artist, I believe he was a French artist, who built this duck, and they had to build a smaller one to bring it to Pittsburgh.
The French love nuclear power, by the way. They're one of the countries
Okay.
that is almost entirely run on nuclear power. So if there was gonna be a cover-up of a mutated duck, the French would solidly support that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the French. When's the last war they won? I mean, right?
Basically
like the one
never.
that saved us. So that's been a while. So yeah, they're gonna latch on and take credit for just about anything. But trust me,
But
No,
why
like,
is this
my-
power plant closing? You said you had inside information as to why 3 Mile Island may be closing. What's the real story?
okay, a lot of it, like I'd say 50% pressure of all those hippies that are like, oh, we got to switch over to nuclear, solar power or wind power and kind of stuff. And that's one of the reasons why we, caused that meltdown, just to bring some attention back to our industry.
Okay.
And,
So
let
it's kind of
people
like no
remember, like,
no press is bad press, basically.
exactly. Like,
So you're saying that the
hey,
entire
hey.
the issue at 3 Mile Island years ago that was staged?
Okay, I prefer to think of it as more just good publicity. Like, quick, off the top of your head, name a solar farm.
Well, I know that there's solar panels above the library here in town.
Oh, yeah? And is the library a farm? I don't think so. So,
Fair
like,
point.
solar,
Okay. So you
nobody
got a lot of
knows who
publicity.
that
People
is.
know who you are. I don't necessarily
name-
think that that's helped your cause in sticking
you name
around.
3 Mile Island, and baby, people know.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
what is going
3 Mile
on?
Island, Chernobyl, Fukushima. I mean, you can name.
We don't
nuclear
have a lot
plants.
more time. We got to know, why is this place closing? What is the reason that they are closing? Or what was really going on? You said you had some sort of deep secret dealing with 3 Mile Island. We can't continue. Our listeners, their time is precious, man. We gotta get to the core of the issue. Why are they closing 3 Mile Island? What is really going on at this power plant?
Well, I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head, though, is that time is short. And if we're going to cause leaks and explosions in places like Fukushima and kind of keep providing that level of quality, we can't focus on something we blew up 15 years ago. We've got to close it and keep moving on to new stuff, to disaster. Like, we're personally, this is more personal to your audience, we're thinking about building a couple of plants to start leaks in around the Pittsburgh area.
Oh yeah, they could leak crackers. I heard there's a cracker plant.
Okay.
A cracker leak would be fantastic.
So they're thinking about opening up a plant in Pittsburgh to create leaks. Why would they do that?
Well, I mean, a lot of Pittsburgh's infrastructure is pretty run down, so I'd imagine buying a building that leaks is going to be a lot cheaper than buying one that's up to code. So
Many of my
it's
homeowning friends have taken that route.
kind of a two birds in one stone. I save a couple of bucks on rent, and then whenever the nuclear meltdown happens, we already have a head start.
But you really
So-
have no authority on this issue, right? I mean, you're a janitor. What information can you really have?
Oh, okay, yeah, no, okay. I'm hearing the dismissive tone in your voice.
Yeah,
And I'll
you're a
tell you-
janitor, and you claim to be a nuclear engineer with top-level clearance.
Custodial engineer, okay?
I
Okay.
do have that is the top level clearance. I was not lying about. I know the like I can. I
What do
have
you
the key.
what do you clean the dust on the window seal with the guy who runs the plant?
No, I have the keys to get like anywhere. You want to get into the plutonium rod room? I can do that. You want to get into a reactor core and just like see what it feels like in there? I can do that. I do it for my buddies all the time. You want to go into the tank and see all the mutant animals we've caused by radiation? Then I can get you in anywhere you want to go.
So to this point, we've been on the phone for 10 minutes. You still have not told me a single reason as to why this plant is closing.
You know,
You said there's some sort of deep
remember
secret.
when Breaking Bad went off the air? Just kind of at its peak.
Yes.
And it was kind of like, we've done all we can do with this show. I figure when you think about Fukushima, I mean, I'm so sorry. I get so busy with disasters, I can never keep them straight. But, it's the reactor fire that we had in Reactor 2 way back in '79. I don't know, it's not sexy anymore. That's why we're starting to bring out new plants that can cause new pollution, new mutated animals, and a more interesting future for our kids.
So
I don't see why you're so short-sighted, Brian.
So you're trying to
Don't-
you're trying to create a new breed of species? Is that the ultimate goal? And is that something that they're trying to cover up and pretending it's about
Believe me,
power?
that's not the goal. We just keep accidentally doing it.
I would love to see the
you have
three-eyed
any-
fish that was promised to us by The Simpsons.
Do you have any proof that these creatures exist? Because
Oh.
right now it's just hearsay.
Yeah, you know what else was hearsay? The Constitution before somebody wrote it down. Like,
Zing.
This is
No,
what
it
happened.
wasn't. In fact, they fought and they came to compromises and everything else. It wasn't like it was already pre-planned and they just jotted it down. No, there was a lot of debate that went into that. Actually, you're completely
Okay.
wrong.
I don't want to turn this into O'Reilly, but I got a B+ in my American history.
Oh, well,
1950 to present
congratulations.
class. So, I kind of know what I'm talking about when it comes to that sort of thing. I feel like hippies and libtards like you want to get caught up on like, oh, why are we closing the plant? Is it because you're poisoning the people around us and you don't want us to know? And it ignores, but that ignores the good side of what we do too.
Such as providing power.
Yes, in the brief periods we have between meltdowns and between cleanups after meltdowns, we provide at least 1 to 2 months each year of solid service. And that's the part everyone wants to overlook
Mm-hmm.
just because a couple of extra limbs pop up. You want to know why the plant is going under? PC culture.
PC
They
culture.
just, they can't take it. I get it. You think you know everything about nuclear power because you watch The Simpsons. Well, I'll tell you, it's a lot harder than that.
All right.
I did not come on this show to be demeaned.
Well, Mr. Glowthroat, I want to thank you for wasting all of our time. The listeners have all changed the channel, and our ratings have taken a dip. Thank you so much thanks for ruining my
That's
network.
gonna bother me. The amount of radiation I'm putting out in the air, none of those listeners will be here in 5 years. So I'm not carrying guilt around on this one.
All right, that's Glowthroat, wasting our time. We've got the one reason why, but I mean, if this wasn't enough of a reason to let you know that the world is coming to an end, listening to Glowthroat, we do have this.
This is not progress, this is distress. Oh, what a mess, what a big bloody mess. This is not a war, this is not a fair fight. This is not a window for you to see the light. This is not a battle, this is not a victory. This is not about the desert or the oil or being free. This is not a revolution when there is no solution. This is impossible to find a conclusion. I can't stand here and watch my world die.
So this week, the reason why the world is coming to an end, the reason why we are living in end times, is because, god damn it, can't they come up with a cure for athlete's foot? They've cured polio. They've driven polio out of the United States of America. They've almost wiped out leprosy. Yet they can't get rid of the goddamn fungus on my foot. It's messed up, man.
It's rough, bruh.
It's rough. So that's why I think the world is going to come to an end. You get wet socks, and then all of a sudden it's like your feet are on fire.
Okay, but have you ever tried Tinactin?
Yeah, I've tried it all. None of it works.
Fast actin to actin.
Yeah.
It's not very fast, and it's not acting. That's for sure. No, none of them work. They're rubbish. I mean, they'll help, like, temporarily, but they don't actually get rid of athlete's foot. Like, I've heard that, like, if you pour bleach on your feet...
Don't do that.
Do not pour bleach on your feet.
No.
Well, here's the thing with polio, and this is probably, they're approaching it wrong, right? You're coming at it from a cure perspective. You should have gotten a vaccine for athlete's foot
that causes autism.
When you were born. Well,
that causes autism.
I don't think a little autism's gonna derail you, Brian. I think you're good to go.
No, I just think, it's 2017. It's time to cure athlete's foot. I mean, how long will people suffer?
What color ribbon is that?
That's a good question.
What color ribbon do I get to put on my car for
I guess it would be red because your foot looks like a lobster.
Save the totos.
You know what? Like, what color is like a scar? Like that weird brown color? Like that should be the color of athlete's foot because of all the scars you get from ripping the skin off of your
man.
off of your
Dude,
feet.
what are
Yeah.
you talking about? Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get an athlete's foot.
that
You keep
sounds
scratching it,
terrible.
and all of a sudden you rip your skin
No,
off.
that's
And
not
You
what
might need some
happened.
That is what
prescription
happened.
strength.
Whoa, bruh.
I'm saying, they need to come up with a cure for this shit.
Take a capsaicin bath.
Yeah, just well, maybe
So I'm
not.
saying bleach. You know, if I poured
No.
bleach on my feet, it
Just-
may just like.
Only dip your feet in the capsaicin. Do not put your parts. in
Yeah,
the
it's just for
capsaicin.
your feet.
No.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
part. Just from the knees down.
All right. So where are you this week, Michael?
Oh, I actually just had 2 really great shows this week. I don't have a whole lot coming up.
Nothing coming up.
Chilling. I'll be at the Brillo Box on the 13th.
There you go. So the 13th of June. So
Yeah.
that's
And then
That's
I got a
month.
beta stage later that week over at Arcade Comedy. Forget the exact date, but I'll have that for you next week.
very cool. Don't forget, Mike Sasson is on tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We're also going to be dropping an episode of the Culture Cruise a little bit later today as well. We take a trip to Torred Mine, which is really cool. And it was kind of a special episode, in my opinion, because first off, Torred Mine is awesome. I don't know if you've ever been, if anyone's ever been, but Torred Mine, you actually go into an old mine, and they take you in like the mine car into the mine, so you get a real-world experience. And there's an interesting commentary on illegal immigration mixed into that episode. So it's going a little bit outside the box for the Culture Cruise, but it's definitely worth listening to. That'll be released a little bit later today. I'm on again Monday morning, so don't forget to tune into that. And for Michael Cohen, for Tara, and for Max, who's also here in studio, our intern, I'm Brian Crawford. You're listening to the River's Edge Radio Network. Catch you next week.